Good morning, everybody. My name is Wim De Kinderen. I'm representing the Vanguard initiative, but I'm working for Brainport Development, which is the development agency for the Eindhoven region in the Netherlands, part of South Netherlands, who is a founding member of Vanguard. Vanguard, some of you might know it. Vanguard initiative is a political network of regions collaborating on the topic of industrial innovation. It was started around 7-8 years ago by now. I see some people in the room who were there from the first days, by the way, so very good to see you. It was started by Flanders, the then Minister of Economy and Minister President Chris Peters. And Minister Hilde Krevits, who was here yesterday, it's now the political representative in our network. We are a membership-based association, so you could say it's a closed club, but at the same time, we are the most open you can imagine, as long as you are an industrial strong region or you're a region with strong ambitions and you're able to mobilize and organize your stakeholders back home. Stakeholders meaning companies and knowledge institutes, because we are a political network, so regional authorities are our members, and I will come back why that's important, but we're doing this for the stimulation of innovation and economy. You could think we are one of those many lobby clubs in Brussels. We are. But we do more than that. Content and results, that's what we try to have, are the basis of what drives us. And we develop that content ourselves in what we call pilot projects. And SAPHIRE is part of one of those pilot projects. And that is what gives us kind of street credibility, I always call it, different than other networks here in this big Brussels bubble. And this is what I'm explaining to you right now. So pilot projects are EU-wide networks, thematic networks of companies and knowledge institutes who are supported by intermediaries like clusters, development agencies like my employer, to develop programmatic projects in program lines. So no one-off projects, but really trying to build a pipeline of investments to help industry, and in your case, patients at the end. We devote a lot of attention to demonstrators, so open access facilities which help companies to develop, test, validate their new products and services. The Italian colleague earlier on was speaking about that in his own project. So that's the kind of facilities that we try to link with each other and try to provide funding to upgrade the facilities and help industry in that regard. We have 7 of those thematic pilot projects. One of them is Smart Health. So that's the one many of you are familiar with. But we have also others, like, for example, on 3D printing and artificial intelligence. And Professor Kels was talking about those technologies who are also relevant for personalized medicine. So when we are building those communities around smart health, we also have communities in AI and 3D printing, for example. And one of the things we can make happen for you is to get them together and try to make those cross-fertilizations happen. We operate according to a certain methodology, which is also embraced by the European Commission in the so-called smart specialization platforms that was also mentioned by one of the previous speakers, which is quite basic, to be honest. We try to map the value chain players. We organize activities to bring them together in the connect phase. Then they start developing projects according to the programmatic line that is commonly developed, in order to help them get their innovation faster and more efficient to the market, which is the commercialized phase, and which is the phase where we as facilitators withdraw, let's say. Because why is all of this, by the way, relevant, what I'm saying? We are trying to build a context and a support framework which is allowing you to do your job in a better way. Smart specialization was mentioned already a few times. It's a very expensive word to indicate that people are basically working on their focus priorities. What are their strengths today and what are their potential strengths in the near future, so that they focus, for example, the public money that they have to spend. In this process of making the smart specialization strategy, where personalized medicine is a big priority in many regions, as we saw just now, you have a lot of consultations. So at the start of this Learn Connect phase, what we do is what I call industry inspired. We don't immediately speak with industry, but then next time industry is of course involved. And at the end, and that's where we want to arrive, all of the products are industry owned, because that's what allows them to make their money, basically. We are not alone in this, and I'm giving you an example of the pilot that I am co-leading together with Flanders and Norte, the 3D printing pilot. These partnerships are operating in a sometimes competitive field, but it shouldn't be competitive, we think. We definitely don't want to contribute to overlaps or unnecessary competition. We want to occupy the unoccupied niches. The first speaker, and that's the one I want to focus on now in this last slide, is the one on the European partnerships. European partnerships are hugely important. They are co-funded, they have their own funding by industry on the one hand and by the European Commission on the other hand. They're operating on the lower TRL level, so they're going from basic research up to innovation. What we as Vanguard want to complement is the higher TRL level, so the innovation part up to the actual deployment by industry in the regions. So on the one hand, we are now in an active process to sign memorandums of understanding between our pilots and the relevant European partnerships. We signed one with EFRA, the private partners of the Made in Europe partnership, which is all about manufacturing. And we're talking right now with processes for planets and the new partnership on AI, data, and robotics. The partnership on personalized medicine, which was explained by the first speaker, is of course the relevant one for this. So I think it would be very beneficial to speak how a collaboration could happen, because then we can really deploy activities on the full scale of TRLs from 1 to 9. That's very technical, but most of you understand this. Including, and that's what's actually happening in Vanguard today, finally, I would say, because that's the raison d'etre of Vanguard. We are now next week deciding on recruiting an expert to make the interregional funding happen. So why would partners, companies, and also institutes go along with Vanguard? That is because we offer them access to regional funding. Regional funding is often focused on innovation, but in many, many cases, there is no possibility to allow interregional activities to happen. There are many reasons politically. Why would I spend my own Flemish euros to a partner in France, for example? Politically, that's the one. Administratively, it's difficult to organize, and financially, there's always a limit to budgets. But we are going to tackle now, as Vanguard, the 36 regions that we are today and growing, to see how we can design a funding instrument which allows these activities to happen, so that we can contribute to this full scale of activities for the benefit of you and your